Yeah, so fun fact. I just discovered, or I read the other day on this website for some reason, that the oldest fossilized human poo
Come on.
is from a Viking. It's 1,200 years old.
What's his name? Hakun?
They don't know. They don't know who did it.
There should be a name on it.
There should be a name on it. There should be, and it's worth $39,000.
Nah, I'll pass.
You don't feel the need to splurge. It's like,
I don't want to keep Hakun's pool for what? $39,000?
you've given it a name all of a sudden. It could be a woman's turd. Like, we don't know. It's just a rock poo.
Come on, it's the men who were everywhere. Wasn't that what they were called?
in the mythical, but the women Vikings were hardcore, man. I think it was like the society was very even.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll still take a pass on that, man. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm super excited. It's going to be one hell of a ride, I think.
We're venturing into I like to think that this is a new space because we're going to be talking in English. Mm-hmm. But we're making a podcast for sort of people living in Norway, basically, right? Mm-hmm. But sticking to English language, we're interested in people like us who've ended up living here.
I guess the purpose of this podcast is just to kind of see what people have experienced and, share our own experiences and see how they relate as well.
Yeah, and I feel like we could reach out to an audience that hopefully, I mean, through the guests that we get in over time and through the audience we hopefully connect with, we're going to start maybe hearing a lot about other people's frustrations. Yeah. Could well be. Maybe sharing some of the really great things about living here. So, we hope that this can be, it could almost be like a resource, like for people who moved to Norway, maybe haven't fully got a hold of the Norwegian language yet. They want to learn more about the country. They want to learn more about living here, but from a perspective of someone else who's shared that same journey of coming from another country and ending up here and trying to make it work, right? Yeah. So navigating Norway, maybe this could be a really good thing for people. We hope. We
have a list of topics that we're gonna go through. Yeah. So we just talked about why we're doing this podcast is just to share our experiences and all that. And then we're going to talk about, some of the blunders that we've had in the language. Yeah. Misunderstandings and some crazy stories.
What time of year was it when you got here?
I got here in the middle of the summer, and that was the hottest recorded year in Norway. Okay. So I'm in the plane, right? The plane lands, and it was getting hot in the plane, so I had taken off my jacket. Yeah. I just had my T-shirt on. And as soon as we land, I'm looking outside the windows and it's like the sun and everything. So it's like, oh yeah, this is cool. And then the doors open. And as soon as I step out, my goodness.
It was cold.
Was freezing.
Just like, what is this?
It was freezing. And I was like, wait a minute. Is this the summer? Yeah. I remember the first thing I did was to put my jacket back on. Yeah. And this was in the middle of the summer. Yeah. It was like July when I got here.
The hottest summer ever.
Recorded. So I'm like, wait a minute, something is off. Yeah. Something is off balance. So I put my jacket on. Then, of course, it's still chilly and it's windy. And this is in Oslo. Yeah. That's where I landed. Get off the plane. And it kind of took me a while to get used to the weather. Yeah. I was like, I don't even know if I'm used to it yet.
Nah. I think I got here in April. And so it was through May and all the celebrations and the summer and everything was amazing because everyone's out and doing stuff. Yeah. And by that first winter, I think I was working at this hotel by that stage. And I even was doing a breakfast shift at some point. So you had to get there at like 5 in the morning or something. And you're in the kitchen. There were windows, but there's not a lot of daylight coming through. And so that first winter of just like powering
takes a
through.
Little bit of getting used to, yeah.
Oh, it was intense. It was intense. But I think it's actually after about 10 years that I finally felt like...
You're Norwegian.
Yeah, like you've got it in your body. Like you can open the door and you can sort of feel what the temperature's like.
But yeah man, I guess the weather and just something that's going to take me a long time to get used to. And it's crazy sometimes because, you know, in like the spring and in autumn, it's quite cold outside.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get a little bit of sun, people are like, yeah, there's good weather.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, is it though?
I was okay. I've gotten into this thing. Little sidetrack here. I've gotten into winter bathing, where we have this little like bud stew sauna in our street, and it's not very good, but it's good enough to sort of warm it up to like 65 degrees, which in sauna world is not super hot.
Yeah.
But we get in there, we warm ourselves up, and then a bunch of us run down to the water and we jump out in the water all through the winter once a week. And I was sitting in there with this Norwegian guy I've got to know, become friends with through that thing, right? And he swims for a long time. Like he can be out in the water for like 5 minutes when it's 3 degrees in the water, kind of thing. He's been doing it for ages. And we met up the other week to have a sauna, and I think it was 8 degrees outside, and there was a little bit of sun, and it was like February, and he comes into the sauna and he's like, it's really warm today. It's just like those little moments of like,
somebody's crazy.
It's really warm today. Let's just, stop. Let's just roll it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I'm approaching that point. Like I kind of knew, like I was almost on the same level with him thinking, yeah, it is quite warm today. But then I was like, hang on a second.
It doesn't feel right.
No, this is not really warm. It's 8 degrees. It's like, it's still only one digit, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But
so, tell me, Paul, what are some of your crazy experiences when it comes to language?
Language.
Would you say you're fluent in Norwegian now?
Yeah, now I'd say I'm good in Norwegian.
Because you've been here for about what, 20?
Yeah, it's coming on 20 years. And I would say the first 2 years, like I really wanted to learn Norwegian. I didn't want to get away with people just speaking English to me all the time. And I had some friends at one point tell me that I was really aggressive about my Norwegian because I didn't go to a course to begin with. I just started like trying to copy people and learn words, pick up words here and there, and just tried and sounded like a 2-year-old, you know, like sounded like an absolute idiot. But I just wouldn't give up either. And people were like, for the first 6 months or so, they were kind of like,
take it easy.
Yeah, they were a bit uncomfortable, a bit like thrown off by it. And then within a year, when I had conversational skills, and then 2-3 years later, then it was like, okay, now we get it. We know what you were doing in a way. Like I had to really sort of have a go.
Maybe I should take a tip or two from you.
Yeah, but so it's worth like really throwing yourself into it to just crack the code. But I went to a course for a little while, but I was trying to learn just on the street in a way, trying to learn from people directly. And I made some mistakes because there's similarities to English, right? But there's different, I don't even know how to describe the grammar, but there's different forms where you can say like
sentence
to
structure.
put something down or putta. It's like to put. And so there was like similar words where they just changed the N to be like putta.
Yeah.
And depending how you use it. And there was this time where I was talking to actually my really old aunt, who's now like 90 plus or something. And I was trying to tell her that this place we were going to move into, that it suited us well. And in English, you'd say that it was a good fit. And in my terrible Norwegian,
oh my goodness,
I was like,
I can just imagine.
You know where I was going, right?
I know where this is going.
The fitta, really good. And this is to my 90-plus-year-old auntie, and she's just like, "What did you say?" You know, and suddenly, like it clicked. I was like, "No, the Norwegian word is passa, like it suits." Yeah, so that was probably my most embarrassing little term. But then it kind of made me realize too that you just can't. I developed this like method in my head for like taking English words and just like squeezing them into Norwegian.
Yeah, that's a crazy one.
It works sometimes, but it's like
Grandma was like, "What the hell is this kid talking about?"
Yeah,
nah, it's not gonna fly.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah. Let's see. Do I have any crazy stories? It's probably hard for me to think of one off the top of my head. But maybe I got one, but it's not as crazy. But I just remember, like, it was just a misunderstanding from my part in terms of the language. So it's not like when you say "dum."
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's stupid or it's unfortunate or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I remember there was one time one of my kids was sick and he couldn't go to daycare.
Yeah.
So this was when I was just learning Norwegians, like my first year here. So I could a little bit because I started going for the language course. So I remember sending a message to the daycare, and it's like, hey, my son is. I wrote in Norwegian, probably some broken Norwegian, but they understood. It's like, my son is sick, we can't come today. And then I remember receiving a reply from the lady who works at the daycare. Oh, they were dum.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah,
I just told her my son is sick and said, that's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And I almost replied, but I was like, yeah, it doesn't make sense for her to say that, right? So I was like, okay, I'll just keep this message. Then my wife came and I showed her, and it's like, yeah, I know this is what it means. And I just remember, like, oh shit,
yeah, you can read it the wrong way, man.
Yeah, just imagine having a conversation and then someone says "they were dum" in front of you. Yeah, and it's like you're thinking they're saying you're stupid when it's just like, you know,
right. It's a shame.
Language.
It's like,
it's a shame, or it's unfortunate,
saying,
or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's one that kind of sticks with me.
Yeah, for sure. I did some. I got this job working with media, and like 2 years later, all the people I was working with, they were like, "We were really excited when you were going to come work with us because it was like, now we can practice our English more." But when I got to this job, I was just like, we'd have a meeting every Monday, and I didn't know what the hell anyone was talking about. Like it was just the vocabulary. Everything was like professional and about the work. It wasn't just like talking to someone on a Saturday with a beer kind of thing. So all these Monday meetings where I'd just sit in the corner, just being as quiet as possible and just like trying to like pick up on it, and then trying to get a hint of thing, and then trying to like even write some emails in Norwegian to work out what I was supposed to do in this job. And then 2 years later, looking back at like some of these emails I'd written the first months when I was working in this place, just thinking,
we got to read some of those emails, man. You got to find them.
How did they give me this job? Like, how did anybody? And then it was weird because nobody was like forward enough to like
say
anything about it, or like, no, it was just this weird, like, nobody, like, you kind of knew it wasn't. I was working out what the job was supposed to be and how I was supposed to do it, but nobody's just coming out and saying, "It's fine, man. We'll just do it in English, and I'll just help you work it out." Like, it never got to that. Like, everyone's nervous on both sides. Like, he doesn't want to speak English with us, and it was just kind of funny.
That's crazy. Yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into our next topic: commuting.
So when I first got here, I was living out on Askøy, because it's this island outside of Bergen, and that was kind of the easy. I knew through someone I got like a cheap place to rent, and it was super cheap. So, but you got to catch a bus, and then you've got to get a boat, or you've got to get the bus all the way in. And at that time, like 2005, it was like there's one bus every hour. Kind of, it was just hopeless.
Okay.
So I was commuting, but I soon realized that Norway's not really built for public transport. Like, this is still, I mean, Oslo is maybe its own thing, but Bergen at that time was like, this is like
was it in terms of the infrastructure, or was it in terms of the social interactions?
So to begin with, just the regularity of it was like, this place is really like, this is a car country, right? Everyone's used to like being in their own little glass box and doing their thing. And if you're not part of that, then you're kind of in trouble living out there. So I got into town, and then there's certain things you notice, like out on Askøy, the bus was never really full to begin with, but you notice things like nobody ever sits next to you while there's still unoccupied seats on the bus, right? Everyone's going to fill up one seat each. Yeah. Nobody's going to assume that the bus will be so full that you just sit on the seat that's available. So that was definitely something I noticed in the beginning. And then later, living in Bergen, it still bugs me, man, that they've got this light rail now. Nobody knows, it seems still, to stand out of the way of the fucking door when the door's open. It's like, just stand to the side so everyone can go off, and then you go on.
Wow.
That's like a little thing that's like, coming from a big city. I come from a big city where there's basic little like
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, for me, it's like you said, it's kind of difficult getting used to the fact that, you know, people just keep away from people.
Yeah.
You know, and I come from Cameroon, and out there, the bus doesn't leave until it's full.
Right.
It's not going
just waits.
anywhere. If you don't fill it up, it's not going.
Okay.
It has to get that last person before it leaves.
Yeah.
So you just kind of grow up
expecting that.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that, but getting used to sitting close to other people. And,
yeah.
You know, and the culture as well is a little bit more, should I use the word, touchy, in sense like people don't really mind shaking hands and hugging and all that. It's pretty common, right?
The intimate zone.
Yeah, it's intimate. But here it's different.
Yeah.
In the bus, people don't want to sit next to.
They don't want to sit next to you. They don't want to sit next to you.
Next
Gotta
to me,
say it,
big
man.
bad wolf.
Gotta say it.
Nah.
It's a thing, though, right?
No, nah, it's not me, but I think a lot of people as well. Like you see, like when you get in the bus and you sit down, right?
Yeah.
Because I observe a lot of things that's going on in the bus, and yeah, people just get in, they sit down. You can see them. It's like they're actually just scanning for the empty seats, you know. And as soon as they don't see one, they stand.
Yeah.
And then when the person walks out of the bus, maybe in the next bus stop, suddenly they're rushing to go sit in that space, you know, in that area.
And all the while, there's a spare seat next to you.
Next to the person, not necessarily me.
Okay.
Whoever is there. So
whoever else. Yeah. Right.
So it's kind of crazy, and there's also this thing where people kind of, you know, sit and they put their bags on the seat next to them. Yeah. Intentionally, so other people don't sit.
So no one's gonna sit there.
It's just
man, I stand
upsetting,
over this. I usually pick that seat now.
Yeah.
I'll go up to that person and
like,
just wait.
It's me and you
look
today,
at them,
buddy.
And then I'll be like, I'm gonna sit here and just like I pick their bag up and put it on their lap. Wake up.
Yeah, no, I would just politely ask them, like, hey, I gotta sit.
Yeah,
I gotta sit. I mean, sometimes I actually want to stand because I sit in the office a lot, and you know, sitting down there on the by the table and editing a lot. Yeah. At the end of the day, you want to stretch a little. Yeah. So most of the times on my way back home, I just stand and I don't sit. Yeah. Even if it's fully empty. Yeah. You know. But yeah, I think it's just something that I'm never gonna get used to, seeing people just intentionally avoiding being next to other people. It's
a Scandinavian thing too, because it's like a joke in Finland as well. Apparently, that's like when you stand at the bus stop, there's like a couple of meters, even like not even on the bus, just at the bus stop. When you're waiting for the bus, you're keeping like a couple of meters between social you and distancing. The next person. And so when the Corona pandemic
came
around,
social distancing before the social distancing,
they were like, they're sort of like, wow, this is allowed. Like now they just added an extra couple of meters, so they had like 5 meters between each other. But it's definitely coming from. I've heard that it's Australians, Canadians, Scandinavians. We all live on pretty large continents or land masses. Mm-hmm. And we're used to like lots of space. Okay. Right.
But I'm guessing this is not something that's common with a lot of Southern European countries, African countries, South America as well, Asian. Possibly even a lot of Asia.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I actually lived in Japan for 3 years. After I first lived in Norway, then I had a little period living in Japan. And I was in Tokyo on those trains where they literally.
Oh, I've seen a couple of those videos. Like, there's no way you're doing any form of social distancing in there. It's like they pack you up in there like sardines. Like the boss is it the conductors or whatever?
Yeah, the guys on the platform are just like squeeze you in there, doors are closed, and you just kind of, and then gradually it loosens up over time. But
when people step off,
it's just the peak hour thing. So you're just trying to avoid those 2 hours or that 1.5 hours. But I've also experienced the reverse, that you're the foreigner in Japan. Like anyone who's a foreigner is so obviously a foreigner. And even Japanese people, I mean, they'll know if you're Thai or if you're Korean or Chinese. They can kind of see it on you. And at least for like very much non-Asian foreigners, you're sitting on the train, and it's a long bench with room for like 10 or 12 people. And you'll be sitting there and you'll realize that the rest of the train is filled up except for like 2 places on either side of you. And the rest, like everyone else is just like, don't sit next to the foreigner for whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And in a way, it was good to experience it because it's probably the reverse it's the reverse situation of being in Norway in a way. That there's on the bus, there could be certain Norwegians who are like, stay away from the foreigner who doesn't look Norwegian, you know. You see it here as well.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And to experience it in Japan it was kind of a good eye-opener in a way, to actually be on the receiving end and go, oh shit, this is probably something.
So you've done that, yeah?
Yeah, like this is probably something that happens in
No, I mean
Norway.
like you've avoided sitting next to people?
I could have. That was the thing. It's like maybe I've done it too.
Okay.
And not even been aware of it.
So you felt it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so I guess from now on you're going to be a little bit more...
I have been for a long time.
When you see Ed on the bus, like, hey, buddy.
Oh, I'm not talking to you on the bus. No way.
I'm going to come to you, man, and just start hugging you.
We'll do a podcast together, but don't talk to me on the bus, man. Man. That's my private zone.
Okay. You should be expecting something. As soon as I see you, I'm just, hey, Paul. You know what? When I see you on the bus, I'm actually going to go to the other end of the bus.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start screaming, hey, Paul. Just come all the way towards you. Yeah, so let's jump into our next topic. We do a little bit about the importance of actually learning the language itself. Like, where would you rank that on a scale? If you put that on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for you to actually learn the language to be able to move forward in the Norwegian society?
Ultimately, like, it's one of the top things for sure. I think at least, I mean, I could have gotten away with just speaking English for a lot longer if I wanted to, because I'm lucky like that, I guess, being from an English-speaking country. But don't know, man. I personally, I really wanted to learn the language, mostly because I don't want to be in a situation where I don't know what people are saying. Just a personal, in a working environment or whatever, you want to feel like you're part of what's going on, and you want to be able to do the work properly or whatever. So definitely, it's and then I guess.
Are you picking that, Daniel? Yeah, that's crazy. We're actually right next to the docks, so.
That was a Hurtigruten, probably.
This is going to be a recurring thing on the podcast where you're going to hear this horn. So, guys, just get used to it, right? Yeah, sorry for interrupting you.
No, man. But, yeah, so I thought it was really important to learn the language for sure, and I should prioritize it. But I had an easy way in because I could live with Norwegians from the very beginning, which meant that I could just sit quietly in the corner and listen, like hear like normal engagements between family members and friends. And I think that was like I was really lucky like that because it helped me learn really quickly.
And have you had any major setbacks because of, at least in the early stages of when you started living here, have you had any major setbacks because of language, or even minor setbacks that you can look back and say, if I could have been able to speak the language, I probably would have had so and so opportunity, or those would have been open?
Yeah, there was definitely a job I tried for that I'm pretty sure I didn't get because my Norwegian was so terrible. Like the job interview situation.
Yeah.
I'd probably only been in the country for like 6 months, maybe.
Okay.
I can't really remember, and it was it was for
you were lucky to go for an interview.
Yeah, somehow I don't even know how I got into that interview. Yeah, maybe I've been here for like 9 months to a year, and it was for working with what do they call it? A bofellesskap. It's like a house where people with disabilities are living, and they need someone to just kind of be some muscle and help someone into their wheelchair.
So the actual job actually didn't require any high level of proficiency in the language?
Not necessarily either. And it was like an assistant level, didn't need any special qualifications or anything. But in the interview itself,
you just fucked it up.
Just like, oh my god!
Did you say this? Denne jobben skal fitte meg.
It wasn't that bad. I remember in that interview, they were asking me like, "What do you think about Norwegian food?" And at that time I was like, I wasn't really enjoying Norwegian food. Actually,
No?
It was at that time. It was like everything's like
honest.
salted and cured and like made to survive the winter because.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think I tried to kind of say like I know why Norwegian's food like it is.
And they were like,
It's not very exciting
okay,
though. I think
you don't get the job.
I was trying to say like, oh, you know, I lived in Australia where we've just got any food practically in the world with like really
We got
fresh
good food in
goods
Australia, and your food here in Norway
Yeah.
sucks. And the guy was like, okay, man, good luck finding a job then.
You're gonna love working at this bullfellesskap with all these Norwegians who only eat the same poor leg
Yeah.
they've been eating like for the last 30 years, and
It's crazy. I actually had a crazy experience recently. And when I say recently, I'm talking like 2 days ago. So I'm sitting in the office, right? And I'm doing some work, and this call comes in. Because, of course, I'm a photographer. I make film like we mentioned earlier. So a lot of times you get random calls from people, you know, recommendations, and also some people find your website and, you know, they get in touch with you. So this call comes in, and then this guy, he's speaking in Norwegian. He goes, hey, yeah, he asked me, first of all, are you a photographer? And I said, yes, but, you know, just yeah, a short word. And then he goes, yeah, because we're in search of a photographer who can take some photos for our website and all that. And, you know, he talks and talks. And then I ask him, it's like, okay, what kind of photos do you want to have on your website? Is it portraits? Is it, you know, product photos and this and that? And the moment I start speaking, he goes, men jeg skal legge ned telefonen nå.
okay,
Yeah, she's like, yeah, sorry. How do you say drop the call again?
yeah, han skal legge på.
Yeah, that's what it said. Jeg skal legge på nå.
Okay,
So he just like
he rang you.
He called me. And the moment I started to speak, and he realized, like, okay, this is not the proper Norwegian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unnskyld, men jeg skal legge på nå.
Okay.
And I was like,
You didn't like it.
what happened? I wasn't sure, you know, because it just happened. And my initial reaction wasn't just to be like, yeah, no, he probably doesn't want to work with me. So I wasn't sure. So I just waited. I was like, okay, maybe something came up. So I called him the next day. I called this number.
Yeah.
So I called him first that, you know, right after he hung up the call.
Yeah.
He took the call. And it's like, yeah, I'll get back to you. That's what he just said. As soon as he picked up the call, then he hung up again. And then I just wait until the work day was over. And the next day, he didn't get back to me. So I follow up on this call. And I was like, hey, det ringte meg I går. Så jeg vil bare ringe tilbake, og så følge opp.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we're looking for a photographer, and we found one already.
Okay.
I was like,
Okay, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's like,
must be-
you called me.
Yeah, that's weird.
And the
But
moment I started speaking, he's
Right.
like, jeg skal legge på nå.
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, so-
that's kind of, yeah, I don't know. It sounds like
So it was a weird,
poor social
crazy.
skills on his side in a way. Like it's
Yeah,
kinda-
I don't know what to make of it. But I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. Is it crazy that I would think that he just like, okay, this guy doesn't sound Norwegian enough, or his Norwegian is a
no,
little
that could
bit.
be a thing for him for sure.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's what he was. But somehow
sounded more-
he doesn't know how to deal with it at that point either.
Yeah.
He's like,
jeg skal legge på
This
nå.
is not what I expected.
And I could hear it in the
yeah.
voice, right?
Yeah.
It was just from that point, it was just like,
Yeah.
what the heck am I gonna do now?
We're gonna get some guests on eventually. Not today,
Yes.
but with this
Yeah.
show,
So
right?
subsequent episodes. I'm not sure if it's gonna be the next one or not, but we're gonna have some guests on the podcast and just talk about stuff. So super excited. We've come to the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
So we made it through.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was good. We'll do
Yeah.
it again.
Yeah,
See you
so-
again.
I'm definitely excited to keep up with this journey and see where it takes us and what we can learn from you guys and from our own experiences as well. So it's been a pleasure. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and follow us on all the social media platforms. We're going to leave links in the description. And until next time,
Peace out.
peace out.